Okay, guys, again, this is another wonderful episode of the Dietitian Against Diets. I have to first introduce myself for those who may not know me. My name is Rashonda Thornton, and yes, I am a registered dietitian, but I'm also a dietitian that goes against the grain of the diet mentality. So before I start digging into that and introduce you to my guest, I want to first recognize a podcast partner that has been with me since day one. If anyone ever heard of a company called Janie's Mill, and that company is actually an organic farm. They have a unique story behind the whole name of Janie's Mill. You should, I'll give you the website in a few moments to learn how to find them and learn about them. But the most important thing is that they're a well-respected farm and mill in the Illinois area. And not only that, they're organic farm, where they commit all their work to providing wholesome and the best performing flours and grains that can be sold out there. And I say best performing in regards to their nutrients, how they process their meals, which creates one of the better products here in the Midwest area. I had a pleasure visiting them a few months back. It was cold, but I bare through it, and I got a chance to kind of really see their milling process. I got a chance to get out in the farm, on the ground, and just kind of see their whole process with their seeds and their soil. And I also saw the array of the different grains that they have been milling. And also behind every bag, I would say there is heart behind it, because they put in hard work to make sure they provide a better product for your health and for your taste buds. And they deliver it big about local. So any of your local grocery stores to the local bakery, or they'll make sure they find a way to your home. So find out more about them, grab some of their products, and do some baking on your own. Go to the website at www.janiesmills.com. Now, here we go. So before we get into the next guest, she has a load of just valuable insights to provide for you. You may have seen her in different places, but I want to talk about some things that we deal with when it comes to nutrition. So as you guys may not know, as a dietitian, I also hold a private practice. In that private practice, I work with people day in and day out on their relationship with food. So it's kind of my specialty. And one of the most common things that I come across when individuals are wanting to take that next step into healthy living is that when they have an endeavor to eat healthy and make these things happen, they have a theoretical plan, but sometimes they figure that they realize they're taking too big of a bite in their goals, and now the anxiety starts to rise. And they start to question themselves, are they making the right choice? And, when you start asking yourself that question, you start seeing this whole big image of change. It can be scary, especially if you don't know where to start. And most of the time, what happens? We throw our hands up, or we create these unexpected expectations for ourselves that we should be in a certain place at a certain way at a certain time. And if that's not fulfilled, we feel that whole negative feeling of failure that comes behind it. So, sometimes if it gets too big, anxiety starts to arise. We just do what we always do. We kick the can. We kick the can for another day. We kick the can to after a vacation. We kick the can to after a holiday season. Kick the can for the right time and the right place to start this thing called healthy eating. Well, spoiler alert, there's no such thing as a right time, because whatever happens in your life, life will always happen. When I say life, it means the good, the bad, unexpected times, the great times, the worst times. Life is a part of your journey in life. So when it comes to your nutrition, kicking the can is not ever going to set you in a space where you're going to be able to bring together your nutrition and your life together to where they can live in a harmonious life. So procrastination is one of the biggest things that I see that people take. Also, they start something, but they're already in the back of their head are already telling themselves that they can't do it no more than 30 days. They can't see themselves doing this forever. It's so much easier just to do the things they used to do, or to push the easy button. I call that self-sabotage. We find ourselves not even on purpose, but that negative self-talk starts to rise back to the surface, and we self-sabotage. And that's all an emotional, mental connection to not feeling that confidence that we can actually do it, or not having the tools as to how to do it. So self-sabotage is another symptom of feeling the anxiety when you've taken on too much of a bite. Another one is just, we don't feel like we can do it. We find a way to distract ourselves, whether it's, a positive distractive or sometimes a not so positive distraction. Whatever we can do to take our mind away from not feeling like it's that important, we would take that route because it's just easier to deal with that than to like rack our brain with how to make this big change. So unfortunately, that self-imposed distraction takes us further and further and further away from actually making that first step when it comes to our healthy habits and our healthy choices. So if you ever face these particular feelings, or you're coming upon this feel like a monumental like endeavor to take with healthy eating, don't fret, don't procrastinate, don't try to find distraction, just wait for another day. Start biting off little by little that big picture. Obviously, everyone has their own way of biting, but figure out what it is that you can do and that you can do consistently. It don't have to be the biggest, the rashest and the hardest endeavor. Start off small. Because when you start off small and you keep doing that small thing, that's what builds confidence. That's what builds confidence to recognize that you can do this. So let's take the next step. And let's take the next step. Think about your education. You didn't, get into your career by just doing a quick, 8-week course. It took you years to gain that knowledge, and years to gain experience to get to a place where this is what you do for a living. Same thing with healthy eating, same thing with healthy living. It's going to take time. So giving yourself that time, allow yourself to take piece by piece and just stair step it, I promise you that's going to be a better route than feel like you have to tackle it all at one time and then having the feeling of being overwhelmed. So again, just take some of these words that you recognize that resonates with you, figure out what works for you, because you at the end of the day have to figure out what's going to be your own nutrition journey and how was that going to look in your life to where you feel like you can just breathe and not feel like you're walking on ice. Again, I come up with these particular concepts because I know that we all have dealt with them, or we all are dealing with them right now. So again, figure out what works for you. This message obviously is not just for your ears, but for those others that are dealing with some of these struggles. So take a moment to share this podcast. Let others hear this message, because again, we can all find ways to help each other be healthier, not just physically, but also emotionally as well. Again, this is the Dietitian Against Diets. Take the knowledge that I'm providing. Let's spread it to those others that know that this would be something that's positive in their lives. So right before I'm ready to introduce you to my next guest. Well, welcome to another episode of the Dietitian Against Diets. I'm your host, Rashonda Thornton, as always. And today I'm smiling a little bit harder than I typically would, because I'm really excited to introduce my guest today. Her name is Kelsey McClure. Let me tell you a little bit about this lady. So right now she's in her third season as a pro basketball player for St. Louis Surge women's basketball team. And she also played last year overseas in France. Prior to her professional basketball career in college, she obtained several honors, such as named the GAC All-Conference Player and the Craft and Toil Scholar Athlete of the Year, all in 2017. Now, she also took advantage of that education by graduating as summa cum laude honors with a degree in broadcast journalism. So, if anything, in any athlete, it's always more to an athlete than just that they're an athlete. So I want to say welcome, Kelsey, to this show today.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm glad you are. When I read about the can I say it correctly? Summa cum laude. I was like, okay, really? So my thing was, I played a little ball back when I was in college, and I know the demands when it comes to practices and training and all the things that you have to do and still be on top of your study. So my question before we even get started, how did you just juggle that and still come out with the highest honors in college?
I would like to give a little bit of credit to both myself and my parents. I have some amazing parents. They are an amazing support system, and they have always, been by my side, have encouraged me to be the best in all that I can be. So, they made it a point to make sure that I knew that, yes, you do your job on the court, but you make sure that you get it done off the court as well. So I had to have that focused all throughout school. And then it kind of just became, something that I set as a standard for myself to, achieve the highest accolade that I could in regards to my grades. So.
Man, no, I love it. And, I'm sure at the time when they were making sure you're on those studies, you wasn't too happy about that. But in retrospect, man, I'm sure glad that they were on me like that. They created that expectation, because now that same expectation is what you're applying to your life moving forward. So that's one of the best investments that they could have done. So kudos
Yes.
to your parents.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, mom and dad.
Yeah, I know, right? So, take us, I'm curious, take us through the journey of like, and we just talked, you're from Oklahoma. We talked about the cold weather here in St. Louis. Yay. But just take us from like your journey from growing up in Oklahoma to like where you are now. I want to ask like, what are the pathways that life has presented as like how you decided to take this particular path, as a women professional basketball player? Like how did all that happen as your pieces start laying in front of you?
Right. So I'm actually from a very small town. I'm from a small town of Muskogee, Oklahoma, and it's about this big. Everybody knows it, but that truly was something that has always been, a part of, my present. It will forever be a part of my future because I don't take any of that opportunity of being from where I'm from for granted. It's
Mm-hmm.
truly molded me to be the person that I am today. I have truly become, more humble, more grounded because of where I come from, and just to be presented and also seek out different opportunities in my life. It truly is a blessing, and that's just kind of how I've applied everything in my life. I've truly sought out what I wanted. I know that if I want to go get it, that I could, and
Mm-hmm.
I've never given up on myself. And being that I had a support system like I had with my family, I'm super family oriented. It was never a time where I felt like I couldn't do something. So,
Yeah.
with that being, said, it was just always manifested, whenever I spoke everyone believed in me, and I believed in myself and in God and what He said He could do for me. And the rest is history. I'm here.
Mm-hmm. It's like that you're meant to do what's in front of you, and you just got to walk through it, you know.
Right.
And it's good to hear like that you have the type of like perspective because, I feel like so many people, some people are just not exposed to what they're possible, what they can be, or they're not given the language of that you can do this. And like, I just think that those are such vital pieces to have because, I feel like sometimes people don't live to their potential, and I feel like, you're just kind of example of like, you know, yes, you come from a small town, but you also been instilled some of those foundational like values that you hold that has led you to have that confidence to keep moving and keep pushing forward,
Right. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
And I think that says a lot. So I do have a question for you. So now that you are, in the new realm of sports, in regards to professional sports, um, and when I read your bio, you say you was in France, and so I'm thinking, 2020, that something was weird going on in 2020. We just call it the weird year, So were you down there, when like things started really coming to surface regarding the COVID? Like you find yourself like had to be there longer than you're supposed to? Kind of how all of that kind of transpired?
Yes, so I actually was supposed to be in France for a year,
Okay.
and I had just come back from back home. I think that was Christmas break, so I
Okay.
came home, and after I came home, I went back around January, and it's like I want to say maybe right there in February things started to kind of just take a turn. Everything just started to kind of unravel, and that's when I knew, okay, we
Mm.
have something big coming up. I started getting a lot of texts, a lot of calls, people just concerned with my whereabouts, where I am I okay? Some people knew I was
Yeah.
back home, so they were wondering if I was still home or if I was back in France, and just a lot of general concerns about, what I would do next. So it started to have me asking questions in regards to what I should be doing next and what was, the best for me
Mm.
at the time. So,
Yeah.
yes, it was definitely a time, and I ended up coming back home just the safest way possible and what I felt like was convenient and best for me at the time, and it was to get back home to my family. That's
Family. Yep.
that's what I felt was important for
And
sure.
when did you get back from France when everything kind of opened up a little bit?
I want to say that I left maybe beginning of March.
Okay.
And I actually didn't go right back into Oklahoma because there weren't even any flights even near or close Oklahoma for me to get back to. So I ended
Mm-hmm.
up flying into Florida actually. And it was super chaotic. I'm not even gonna. It was just a chaotic week. Needless to say, when I finally made it back to the United States, I mean, I just sat and took, yes, the same breath that you're taking now. I was just like, oh my goodness. So
I was gonna say, like, it really just made you pause and think, like, what's most important right now? And what
crazy.
can wait? What we put so much like value into certain things that, right now we're forced to recognize what's really important when the dust settles, And
Right.
for you, like, your career in basketball is not going anywhere. Everyone basketball career right now is kind of at a pause or at a slow roll. So you're not missing out on that. That'll still be there. But just find the silver lining, in this pandemic, and like what's most important now. And like you said, you go back to your roots. It's really a family at the end of the day.
Right, right. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. Like I said, I'm super, super family oriented. So there was no doubt in my mind. I had a couple calls and a couple talks with my parents, and even my sister had reached out in regards to. I have an older sister, and she was, like, hey, we need to figure this out. And even the CEO and the owner of the Surge, Kalia Collier, she reached out in regards to just checking on me. She does a very good job of making sure we're all okay, and we had a lot of players overseas at the time, so she was just putting her hands in all baskets, making sure that we were good. And
Yeah.
for that reason, I had to make the best decision for me.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. Like, again, support on both sides. You didn't have to worry about what your career is going to be. Kind of, is that going to fall apart? You had people that not just cared about your position or you as a player, but you as a person, and that says a lot for the organization. I personally, as you know, work with you guys when it comes to nutrition, or that was actually been put on pause, obviously because of the COVID. But when things come back to normal, we'll be seeing each other a lot more. But it's really a big deal when even I'm not gonna go too far left into that, but even just the organization, like. Surge, you guys stand out because Kalia makes sure she builds all these like parameters around you guys to help you be successful, not just as a player, but like after you're done playing or even while you're playing, other things that you guys bring to the table that's not basketball related. She makes sure that she recognizes that and allows you guys to work within your respected, skill set or your what it is you individually want to do. So I just think that's great that like what you just said just kind of reinforces kind of like the understanding like you guys are more than just a player. You have a lot more under your belt than just being a player, which is great. let's not put any shade on being a basketball player. That's definitely a great accomplishment. Now we're going to shift a little bit because. And I want to talk. We definitely talk a little bit more about the basketball end of it, but I don't want to take away from like how are you utilizing your education right now? And I don't know if you're playing with it or you got some like little like plans underneath all of this, but like you really have like decided I can just watch. So if you guys, when you get a chance, go to her IG page. She has her IG TV, a lot of like small snippets of like words of inspiration and encouragement, and she's all around about helping people to like find a way to grow, and so and again, your degree is in broadcasting journalism. Did you even like know that you were using that part of what you learned and applying it to the social media platform now? Like, kind of, how did all that connect?
It's so crazy because COVID has a way and had its way of revealing a lot of, talents that maybe a lot of people put to the back burner or just don't even realize that they are, sleeping on. And I've always enjoyed being a sense of encouragement, being a sense of light, being able to, provide some type of kind word during anyone's time of need. And I've also had my fair share of having people around me who have done the same for me. So, it's so crazy because I didn't even know how it was going to go when I first uploaded those first couple videos, and to just see the reviews and the reactions of people like, I needed this and this was encouraging to me and you really spoke to me. I was so down. That really started to speak to me. And I'm like, wow, I didn't know that this was something that I enjoyed doing, just talking, just sharing my thoughts in regards to how we can get through these, this pandemic and just anything by day. And like you said, you start to realize like, oh, so you are utilizing your
Mm-hmm.
degree, you are utilizing communications and journalism, and jotting down this and that. So yes, ma'am, I totally have taken into account all the things that I am doing now, even in the world as I think about basketball and just being surrounded with it. I love the game of basketball and just sports in general, and being able to even shed light on what athletes go through on a day to day, or how we're prevailing in during this time. That's
Mm-hmm.
something that I love about a platform of social media. You're able to do
Yeah.
anything with it, be super creative.
And like you're using it, you're using your platform to like you can use your platform for anything. It can be something that's self-serving. You can do something promoting something or some product. Like you can use your platform for anything. But it seems to me like you have taken advantage of what you've been, this technology and social media, and also in a time that it's a heavy need because right now people are scrolling and they're saying, no telling what they're looking at because you have a
Right,
lot of extra
right.
time in your hands, and they're also alone. They're not around their loved ones. They do feel a sense of hopelessness. You know what I mean? So even like your snippets, it can be powerful. You never know who's listening, who's watching, and what you say resonates. You know what I mean? And also when you're on there, like I was watching you, it's like you have a feeling of just confidence, not cockiness, but like confidence with heart. You believe in what you're saying, but you also like it's all heart with it. People can tell when you're just creating some scripted like inspiration to where you're just doing you're just keeping it real. And I think that's what people saw when they just started connecting with your messages a lot more.
Well, I appreciate that so much. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Oh, you're welcome. Oh, it seems like to me when I was watching too, like you have like this old spirit. So it all comes together when you're talking about like your family support and like how strong, that has really built you to be. Cause you have kind of like just one of those, like you're 25, so you're fairly young, but like you
Yes.
handle yourself with a lot more poise and a lot more like confidence. So that's why it's like kind of an old spirit, relatively, not like, you're not like a wise old man, but you speak really well for where you're at in your platform. But like I say, you use your heart, in that voice or in that energy that I see. It's like you have a heart for others, and you always want to help people to keep striving. You had one thing about like people that may be feeling stuck or not feeling like they're moving, and we're like, what drives you like to just bring up these particular type of topics?
Well, I'm so thankful and grateful that paid attention to the heart and energy that I do try to bring into the videos first and foremost. So I thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
And mainly, most of that comes from me being in the same predicament. I feel like I've been in a lot of situations where I've had to strive to do better. I've had to encourage myself. I've had to pick myself up off of the ground. So with that being said, a lot of the videos that I create, it's either something that I have gone through maybe an hour right before I made the video, or
Hmm.
it could be something that over time I truly thought about it and learned from the situation. It truly became a lesson and a blessing, and I want to uncover it and reveal it to someone else, so that maybe if they're going through it at the time, they realize that it's not the end. Because I think a lot of times, whenever you're in a situation, that's all you think about is that the
Hmm.
situation that you're currently in. You don't think about anything else. You don't think about, what's going to happen after, how strong you will be after the situation. You're just solely focused on what you're in, and you feel stuck. So,
Hmm.
being that I have felt stuck, being that I have been overseas and had to pick myself up many a times without the support system that
Hmm.
I'm used to, I truly, want to be able to shed light on that it is normal and it is natural, and we can all get through it. And if I can be of assistance by just speaking a few words through my experience, then that's what I do.
Now I know you're like a woman of God because I've heard your language. I seen your necklace when you were on there, and so like how they say how can you use like the things that happen to you like to better others. And sometimes you're placed in certain situations, so you can use your story, so you can use like what happened to you to help those people that will face or facing something like that or will face something like that. And I think like sometimes you're just using in that area of your life to be like it's kind of like a form of ministry. You're not bringing people. You're not you know telling people to confess and, get their life to God and to Christ, but you are using, some of the things that you went through, and find a way to make it positive for the next person, and so that's why I think it's so raw. It's such a raw feeling when you say like you've been there. So that's why I saw the heart, because you've been there. You just not like saw some, like you didn't see like some inspirational movie and like you got an idea. No, this is your movie. So in another one of your videos that stood out to me, you said truly like how can you start to just feel like when we have emotions is a part of who we are, and how can you like truly feel your emotion? And then you mentioned something about revisiting like the negative space to remember and to realize how much you've grown. Like talk a little bit about that, like what you mean by that, or like what drove you to that particular topic or concept.
Yes, you really went in the archives, by the way. I appreciate you for you pulling them out. I in that moment, and I remember I was at a park and I was, taking in my day, taking in my week, which I usually do. And, I thought about some of the hardships that I have encountered and some of the times that I've just really felt like that I could not persevere. I could not get through it, right? And my biggest thing, especially as I have entered my adulting phase, is trying to, figure out, solutions to my problems without, reaching out directly to my support system. I am truly and extremely blessed to have a support system like my parents, like my friends and my family. They are always there for me. I can always pick up the phone and get whatever answers that I need. But I think to seek that personal clarity within yourself, to understand, how you got in a certain situation, how you got yourself out of that situation on your own, how you, establish a sense of encouragement for yourself. Those are truly bullet points in regards to just growth, just personal growth, because when you're in that situation again and you know how you can get out of them. So I think just, revisitation, I actually did say that, revisitation helps you so that you don't have to continue searching for their rehabilitation. I don't have to constantly seek ways to get out of it because I've already visited. So because I have taken that time to revisit, to push through and understand what it is I'm going through, now I know how to constantly get through, and it's not a cycle that I'm creating for myself. So that's what I meant by that.
No, I love it. Because I do feel like people, obviously what I do for a living, I work with people on a more minute scale in regards. I work with people individually with their nutrition. So that's a big booger. When I say booger, I just mean like it's more than just, hey, you should eat this, you shouldn't eat that, you do this at this time. That's not what it's about. It's really about tapping into what's causing them to feel like they can't move forward with their goals. What's causing them to feel like they are not changing. Because, I think with society, we just feel pressure to, force ourselves to change, and that may not be who we are. That may not be what we're supposed to be doing right now. But if you just talk, you got to change, you got to get better, you got to change, you got to get better, like then you're disconnecting to who you really are. And how can you use opportunities where you recognize where you should be? Like, do you need to, do something expeditiously, or you may just need some more time to mature. You may need to experience a few more things. And how can you couple those things you experience and look back at your path and learn from that and say, okay, now I found myself doing the same thing over again. What is causing me to keep doing it? You have to reflect. You have to go back and figure it out, because if not, you're going to keep doing it over and over again. So I totally get it.
Right.
Yeah. One more thing. Okay. So you have these, I don't know if you call them check-ins or something like that. So I was watching this one. So at first I was like, as a basketball player, I don't know, I found like it was kind of like a basketball reference, but I'm not sure like if it was. You talked about like find the value in every pullback. So when I think about pullback, I think about like a pullback jumper. Like, you step back and you do a jumper. So you step back and sometimes take a
Right.
breather and be patient and make a better shot versus forcing it. So I'm not sure if that's what the reference was, but you mentioned when, the value in every pullback is opportunity to just find that growth, and there's a profit in finding the growth. So what is your reference when you say the pullback or finding your pullback?
So yes. So I'm actually also super interested and invested into stocks, and I have learned how stocks work and truly just taken some time. I was a part of an investment group for quite some time, and through that process, whenever we were looking at these graphs and we began to study these charts, we would notice that a lot of times, that pullback was needed in order to gain your profit. Whenever you were to see a pullback on a chart, then a lot of times you would see a bounce back immediately, and you would be able to get profit out of that. So,
Okay.
it was also a reference as we are getting in during the time of COVID, everyone is putting their hands in different baskets and trying different things. And one of those new ideas and different type of tasks that I took on to truly learn was about investment and about stocks, and how to really put my money in different places and earn money. So
Mm-hmm.
that was just a reference, which
Okay.
again, it's amazing because that to hear just different analogies of what people thought about that. You
Yeah.
had a totally different analogy of what you thought it was, and that's amazing because I am a basketball player, and the
Mm-hmm.
same thing applies. The same amount of pullback that comes, I just feel like in life in general and just everyday situations, it's always a test. Consider it what we did earlier, some sort of retest, right? Some type of cycle where you have to go back just to see how things are going to come together, all together at the end of the day. So I think that in regards to just any pullback, we've had a lot of pullbacks even this year. I've had
Mm-hmm.
a lot of pullbacks this year, but I do understand and know that with every pullback, there will be a bounce back. So you just have to continue to be consistent. So.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. All right. Okay. Well, thanks for clarifying that. And again, I was like, I even started looking it up. Like, okay, I know I'm not like that old, so I know I could be too far from like understanding certain references, but it brought more clarity to it. But I also can see like the parallel between, just the idea of what pulling back means. Just basically take a moment, pause, hesitate, reevaluate. Is it worth moving forward now? You may be saving money, you may be saving time by just taking a moment to take it all in before just making that jump, But also know
Right.
you're preparing for something larger, which is the bounce back, right? Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so here we go. So I have these 5 questions I prepared for you. They're not
Okay.
trivial, nothing to be embarrassing, but I just want to kind of pick your brain a little bit. Now again, you use who you are to you right now, like you're working for others right now in this space in regards to like inspiration, motivation, because when you think about like athletes, you always think like their goal is to win or to be the best within themselves, not really taking that time to really help others in regards to like encouraging them, So you did talk about your parents, but who else would you say inspired you the most in your transition of like what got you to where you're at?
Between truly, and may sound very cliche, but between, I want to say, God and
Mm-hmm.
my family. I'm gonna always piggyback on my family. Amazing support system. I've had some amazing coaches and trainers, amazing friendships that I've had for years. Those are places that I truly ran to during my
Mm-hmm.
time of need. I feel like, when you pour into other people, naturally you yourself will eventually need a refill.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm all about making sure that I can convey my energy onto someone else if it is in the light of bringing them up. But at the same time, I have encountered, my downs. And during those times, I have strictly relied on my family, and not even, a reliance. It's just became second nature. It's something that I've always done, and something that has always, been a part of me. My family, my home, where I come from, my morals, my values. Those are just things that just truly have brought me together. So
Yeah.
I can't keep going away from my
It is
family
what it
because
is. Yeah.
that's where it stands.
Family is big, whether you realize it in the moment or you realize it 10 years from the time, you really understand the value of like those people that's your rock, those are the people, whether it's their action or their words, they've been the people that have influenced you. So I agree. And God, for one, yeah, he's the reason why we all doing all of this. So, he puts us in these different situations to where we can learn, we can grow. So I think, I agree. Yeah, you can't really walk around those two. Yeah.
I tried.
So, yeah, you tried, but hey, like I say, it is what it is. So we talked about, people just kind of not, find themselves, on the same, roller coaster of events, the same cycle. Now, what would you, outside of like the revisiting, like what's happening in the past, like what would be some other like ways you would help people to try to find a way to get themselves out of a cycle if they have no idea how to get out?
So I took a moment for that because, when I was overseas, I had plenty of times where, I was in a cycle that I felt like I couldn't get out of. Now that, played different parts and different scenarios, whether that was, I missed, a shot that I wanted to make, and I caught myself repeating that, or maybe it was, I wanted to limit turnovers, or if you transfer it, and go into spiritually, the days that I was really missing home, or felt like that I, needed a moment to regroup and regather. I think what's important is just that. I think once I took time to, regroup and regather myself and truly, for one, pay attention to, the things that are hurting me or the things that are playing a part into why I'm being stagnant, and, look those type of problems in the face every single day. Like I woke up and I took accountability for all the things that I were feelings and all of my emotions, and I figured out how to persevere and get through them all on my own. And it wasn't easy, and it wasn't something that I can just give a cliche storybook answer of like, yeah, and I woke up and I felt better. Like, no, I woke up days at a time and was like, this is horrible. This is, even being back here, I've had moments, where, you have a breaking point, or you have a point where you feel like you may break, and it's all up to you how you handle those situations. So I just think that if you just take into accountability that, for one, a lot of things that we encounter in life are fully emotional. It goes through an emotional cycle plenty of times before it actually even is a realistic thing. So if we allow it to, allow ourselves to part ways with our emotions, even if it's just for 20 to 30 minutes a day, just take time to just part ways and just be however you want to be. You just be, and you are okay with being who you are, with what you have, with what you have going on, and you are just truly thankful for where you are. Then a lot of times the rest will follow. You will wake up and eventually realize like, wow, I could be in a far worse place than where I am, and you become so thankful. So it was even today that I wake up and I'm just thankful, and a lot of times that's all it takes, for sure.
Yeah. When you were speaking, about the cycle piece, and how like accountability and just like being honest with yourself, because I feel like sometimes when people are feeling certain ways, and they have every right within their thoughts and whatever the scenario is, but sometimes people always like, not always, but you find sometimes people are blaming others for like what's going on in their lives. Not saying that's not a part of it, but that's not the only part of it. And I think if this is your life, you have to figure out what's going to work for you, and it can't always be blaming on someone else or some other situation. Like what role have you played, and being honest with yourself, and so what can you do? Because the only thing you can change. You can't change
Right.
what they done. So why we keep blaming them? But it's a common denominator to this thing, right? And you may be that common denominator. So being real with yourself and recognizing, what role are you playing in this? How are you, evaluating, what's keeping you where you're at. Like I say, don't disconnect yourself from your emotions. Feel your emotions so you can dig through it and figure out, how this can be answered, how this can change. So I appreciate that. So we're gonna lighten it up a little bit. We're getting a little. I need to put my Kleenex out over here. So we're gonna lighten it up a little bit. We're gonna dig a little bit more about you because you've traveled and you're gonna be doing more traveling once COVID lets up. Now, what are your must-haves when you travel? Like what 3 things you gotta have with you when you're traveling?
Oh my goodness. Well, anybody who knows me, they know that I'm super into clothes. I'm super into fashion. I That's another story for another day. But I had a very long struggle coming back from France because I had my parents mail some stuff over, and then COVID hit,
Mm,
so I had just suitcase after suitcase. I had a wheel break on the way back. I mean, I was dragged. Look, okay, so clothes, that's a must have. Let's just say that. Um, I enjoy music a lot, so I would say that I would take for sure some type of headphones, AirPods. Make sure that I am listening to some music and engaged. And I do usually, for sure, travel with some basketball shoes or any type of workout shoe. That's just
gotta
always.
always
I'm
be ready.
always traveling just in case, just in case. So, so those are probably my top 3. If I have some clothes and it's gonna be, I'm telling you, like 3-day trip, but 2 weeks worth of clothes just in case.
You never know when
I'm
you gotta
feeling
switch it
some
up.
type of way.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. I'm with you on that one. Okay, okay. So if you wasn't a basketball player, if you wasn't playing basketball, where would you feel you'd be as far as your career? What do you think you would have been doing?
You know, I've truly enjoyed sports, and I've played sports all my life. Truly,
Mm-hmm.
I've played basketball, and of course I've played softball. I've ran track. Um, a fun fact: my dad even had me in 6th grade play football, and that was crazy, but
Okay.
I did it. And yes, it was truly something.
Wow.
He believed that I could do anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Needless to say, and I did. I played wide receiver, and could take a couple hits. But then, of course, when 7th grade and 8th grade hit, and he's like, "Come on out." I'm like, "No,
Yeah,
Dad,
they
I'm
get a little
not
too big
going
now.
out there." I'm not going out there. But of course, that people think that's super funny because they see me now with, my nails done and just
Mm-hmm.
over the top. They're like, "Girl, you would never play football." But it was an experience.
Yeah.
So if it wasn't playing a sport, I honestly would say I would probably be coaching. I've coached so many games and helped so many AAU teams, and just I enjoy being around the game of basketball, but I also enjoy, like I said, being that light.
Mm-hmm.
So wherever I can be a light, wherever I feel like I can be a vessel and just truly be of encouragement and just give whatever wisdom, I can give in regards to just wisdom that's been passed down to me, then I just feel like that's something that would make me happy. And moving forward, long after basketball, then that's where I want to be. It's just somewhere where I feel like I can be of light and also receive light from others around me.
Well, I guarantee you, just like everything else has happened in your life, it'll all fall into play, and you'll know exactly
Yeah.
what that is when that time comes, for sure. Yep, you're already reflecting it. It's just it'll come into fruition, more so when as you continue to move forward. I guarantee you. Last question: if you can pack an idea or feeling into one word or phrase, when I say an idea or feeling is, how you just always have something. It's like something that's just within you that just ready to explode, in a positive way. If you can like just narrow that down to a phrase or a feeling, I'm sorry, a phrase or like one word, like that you want to give for others, like gift that to others, what would that be?
That's a good one. That's a really good question. Huh. Um,
I'll give you mine that way, give you a little time to figure out or give
okay,
you a couple
okay.
of like ideas. Like for mine, like I always say I just want people to be happy. That's it. Now, whatever that means for each person is different. But like, I feel like so many people live a subliminal life, a mundane life, and they're not really happy. So they're just kind of desensitized to I'm just going to breathe, wake up, go to sleep, breathe. And it's like, but there's not a spark of just like happiness. So for me, like, that's what I would want to just give people. Like, I just love seeing people happy, and that's why I do what I do with nutrition. Like, nutrition is my vehicle to help people to be happy. That's what I always say. It's just a vehicle I use to help people to be happy. So for me, happiness is just really what I would want to gift to a person.
Right. That's a good one. Okay. So I think, because you said a phrase, so I think in regards to maybe a phrase and what I usually, whenever I am speaking with my friends or maybe just someone that I've come across at the gym or just anybody, that you can see may need it. My biggest thing that I like to tell people, and sometimes it throws them off guard, but I truly mean it, is, continue to believe in yourself. You're amazing, and I'm so proud of you. I tell people that I'm proud of them all the time, and sometimes I think it becomes a light bulb or a trigger because they're like, wow, like, have I even told myself that I'm proud of myself? So to have a even complete stranger or associate or just someone come across you and just say, hey, I believe in you and you're doing amazing and I'm proud of you. It can make the world of difference. I can recall how many times, I light up every time my parents say, I'm proud of you. That's all I needed to hear. And then I'm fine. I know that I have truly made them proud, right? So that would just be my little phrase. Pretty lengthy, I suppose, but
people need that. Just saying I'm proud of you. I mean, even if it's a look or if it's a touch, it's just a reflection of like what that means to just feel accepted and feel like you're good enough. That's kind of what I get out of it, Yeah. Right. I appreciate that, Kelsey. I appreciate you taking the time to, come on, because we're separated, as you guys think that. But I appreciate you taking that time to just, sharing your thoughts, and sharing who you are to the audience. Now, as we're getting ready to close, I also want to create an opportunity for people that are wanting to hear more, understand more about you, learn more about you, just be a part of your tribe. Like, how can they follow you, reach you, contact you, learn more about you? Or, hey, hopefully basketball season's coming back. You guys are playing yet? Has the season started? Like, tell us all so we all know what to do.
Yeah, so for sure, first and foremost, St. Louis Surge pro women's basketball team here in St. Louis, Missouri. We should be starting back, and we are praying for an amazing jump off. Our season starts in May.
All right.
And the St. Louis Surge is a great page to follow in regards to keeping up with us. STL Surge, or you can follow me on Instagram. My username is Kelsolavich, so that's KELSOLAVISH. I'm mainly there all the time. I do have a Twitter. It's _Kelsolavich, but anywhere that you see me, that is where I will be active and communicate right back. So thank you so much for having me.
Yes, you're so welcome, Kelsey. I appreciate it. There you go, guys. She gave a couple places to find her. If you're in St. Louis, come out. Come out or tune in, however we decide to do this thing for the season. But watch the St. Louis Surge. Watch. They're a pretty unique team, and the way that they're really big on community. Just as if you don't know, like, they're not just gonna play basketball. They're gonna go and communicate with the kids. That they're really big on just outreach and community and building St. Louis. So support them in their efforts. And again, find Kelsey on Instagram and Twitter. As we're closing out, again, guys, thank you for watching. Share this, move these type of messages around to others, because there's so many people that just need these simple words of encouragement to help them through their lives. Again, this is the Rashonda Thornton, the Dietitian Against Diets. Keep loving yourself, keep loving others, and remember, nutrition is a vehicle that can help you find your happiness as well. Thank you again, guys, and see you next time. So I hope you enjoyed today's informative and inspirational episode. Every week, I look forward to sharing my platform with those people who has valuable information that we all can use in our lives. Thanks to our partners at Midwest Dairy Farmers who were able to provide these opportunities for these conversations to happen. And speaking of partners, they have been doing a lot of work behind the scenes. So in light of growing community wealth, Midwest Dairy Farmers, they continue to ensure that these dairy products are at the forefront of serving those in need and the growing numbers of people who face food insecurity, especially in light of the pandemic. To see their work in their community partners, they have worked with organizations such as the local food banks, and a unique organization called Gen Youth that's specifically centered around kids in school nutrition lunches. They also work with respected influencers to ensure these nutritious resources gets to those in need. Go to the website at www.usdairy.com to learn more about their efforts and their mission behind the scenes. So guys, thanks for being a part of the show. Be sure to share this so we can continue to spread this valuable knowledge to those who are in need. We all have our own struggles when it comes to nutrition and our health and our body image and just overall wellness. So the more we spread, the more we share this message, the more positive energy that we put out to others. So thank you again, guys, and I'll see you next week.